It's a picture in the woods in Washington County that sparked hundreds of comments and shares on social media. Some say it could be a supernatural photo. So we spoke with a paranormal expert to see what she thinks.
Way out in the wilderness, a wildlife researcher's trail camera picked up something no one could explain. What started as routine monitoring turned into a chilling discovery, one that would leave a mark on everyone who came across it. It was just after 6 a.m. when James Holloway poured himself a cup of burnt coffee from the camping stove and dropped into the old wooden chair in his cabin. His laptop buzzed quietly as it started up, and with the same rhythm he did every morning, he opened the trail cam software. Hours of overnight footage waited for him. A nosy raccoon, the blur of a fox's tail, the occasional deer staring blankly into the lens. Then frame 7621 loaded. James blinked. He leaned closer, replayed it, slowed it down. The motion-triggered camera had caught something. Someone. A young woman. Barefoot, walking slowly down the trail like she was sleepwalking. No coat, no shoes, just underwear. Her arms hung at her sides and her long hair stuck to her shoulders like she'd been caught in the rain, though the log showed clear skies all night. He froze. Was it a prank? Some kind of odd forest photo shoot? A dream? He scrubbed the footage back. 2:43 a.m. She never looked at the camera, never tripped or hesitated. She moved with strange, steady steps. That path ran straight through the woods, and the nearest road was 3 miles away. No light, no supplies, nothing to help her see. James sat back, barely breathing. Those cameras were meant to catch wildlife, peaceful glimpses of nature. Not this, not her. He grabbed his phone. The signal was patchy, but he managed to text Elena, a local ranger and sometimes trail partner. The only person he trusted not to laugh it off. Camera picked up a girl in the woods last night, dressed wrong for the cold. Timestamp 2:43. You've got to see this. As the morning sun started slipping through the trees, James sat still, eyes locked on the frozen image. His camera had picked up something truly strange, and deep down he knew this was going to pull him into something he wasn't ready for. Elena Morales pulled up to the cabin just after 9 a.m., her Forest Ranger SUV trailing a cloud of dust behind it. She didn't ask anything right away, just stepped inside, gave James a nod, and placed her coffee next to his laptop. Without a word, he hit play. Her expression changed almost instantly. "What the hell?" "I know," James said quietly. Elena leaned closer to the screen. No flashlight, no bag. Nothing. What was she even doing out there? "That's what I've been trying to figure out. Could be a runaway. Maybe." Her voice drifted off. Within the hour, they were hiking to the camera site, stepping through damp ferns and roots that snaked across the trail. James knew this path by heart. He'd walked it countless times with his daughter before everything changed. 6 years ago now. That ache never really faded. "Cameras mounted here," he said, pointing to a tree. She came from that direction, heading east. Elena crouched, brushing aside leaves and pine needles. "There's something here. Looks like part of a footprint. Bare, toes spread, no tread." "She was really out here," she said softly. "This isn't a joke." James double-checked the camera's timestamp. 2:43 a.m. This spot's 3 miles from the nearest road, 2 from the old ranger station. Either someone dropped her off or she's been out here longer than we think. They kept walking, moving deeper into the woods. For hours they searched. Just the buzz of insects and the rustle of squirrels disappearing into the brush. Back at the cabin, they called the sheriff. "This is Sheriff Kwan. We'll send someone to check it out, but unless there's proof of a crime, we can't do much. Could just be a lost hiker." James clenched his jaw. Nobody walks through these woods half-dressed at night unless they're running from something. He ended the call. Pointless. That night, James sat alone, replaying the footage over and over. There was something about the way she moved, steady but empty, like her body knew the path, but her mind was somewhere else entirely. He barely noticed when the thunderstorm started. The sound of rain tapping against the windows always brought him back. His daughter, Lena, had been 8 when she passed. Acute leukemia. 3 months from diagnosis to goodbye. One day she was racing through these woods pretending to be a fox. The next, she was in a hospital bed asking if the stars could see her. James never really bounced back. Photography became his way out. People were hard, cameras didn't lie, even when what they showed hurt. So when that girl showed up on his screen looking too much like Lena grown older, wet hair, small frame, lost, he couldn't look away. By morning, he had printed still shots and stapled them to trees with a message. If you are out here and need help, I see you. You are not alone. Come to this cabin. No questions, just safety. He installed 3 more trail cams, forming a wide triangle around the area. Elena returned the next day, a folded map in hand, her sleeves rolled up. I asked around, she said. No missing hiker reports, but there's a family in the next county. Their teenage daughter's been gone 5 days. Parents say she takes off all the time. Elena used finger quotes. James shook his head. Figures they'd say that. She handed over a low-quality photo from a social media page. A girl named Vivian Lake. Dark blonde hair, freckles, gentle eyes. She looked like most 17-year-olds, except her smile didn't quite reach the edges. Might be her. There's no way to know for sure, Elena said, but it's something. 3 days later, another camera triggered. 4:12 a.m. She was back. Same girl, still barefoot, still quiet, but this time she looked straight into the camera. James paused the clip and zoomed in. Her eyes were wide, and for a second, something crossed her face. Not fear, something closer to recognition. She knew someone was watching, and maybe, deep down, she wanted to be. The next morning, James returned to the spot where she had shown up. Tucked beneath a fallen log, partly buried in leaves, he found a small plastic bag. Inside was a torn sheet of notebook paper. Please find me. James stared at the note again, those 3 handwritten words pressing heavier on his chest the longer he looked at them. Please find me. This wasn't some prank. It wasn't a random fluke. Whoever she was, Vivian or not, she wanted to be found. And for James, that changed everything. Elena showed up the next morning with a scratched-up thermos and a spark in her eyes. I've been digging, she said, pulling a crumpled printout from her glove box. Check this out. It was a post from a local subreddit. Someone had spotted a girl matching the same description near the Clearwater trailhead about 5 miles from James's trail cams. She was walking alone, looked dazed. I asked if she needed help, but she ran into the trees. Same time frame, same girl. They were still chasing shadows, but now the shadows had a direction. Over the next few days, James and Elena widened their search. They found more bare footprints, bits of torn fabric caught on low branches, even a trail bar wrapper. Small things, but all pointing to someone moving fast and carefully, like she didn't want to be seen, but didn't want to be lost either. A week into the search, James found something else. Hidden inside the hollow of an old tree along the eastern ridge, wrapped in a trash bag, was a worn-out backpack. Inside was a cracked phone with no SIM card, a journal, water-damaged but still readable, and a hoodie with the name V. Lake stitched into the tag. Elena, he called out, heart pounding. She leaned in, reading over his shoulder as he flipped through the journal. Most of it was vague, fragments of thoughts and scattered entries, but the last page was different. The handwriting was bold, shaky. I didn't leave to be found. I left to be free. But sometimes I think I just wanted someone to notice I was gone. That was the sentence that hit James the hardest. Vivian wasn't running toward anything. She was trying to get away from everything, Elena made the call to the Clearwater Police Department with everything they had. While she was on the phone, James did something he never thought he'd do. He uploaded the footage to Reddit. Within 48 hours, it blew up. Thousands of comments, theories, people cross-checking missing persons reports. Then a match came in. Vivian Lake, 17, reported missing almost 2 weeks ago. The part that stunned everyone: her parents had waited 5 full days before telling anyone. One Reddit user even dug up an old Facebook comment thread where Vivian had written, "Wish I could just disappear into the trees." For James, this had nothing to do with going viral. This was about Lena, about every time he'd felt useless, about losing someone you love before you ever got a chance to help. "I wasn't there for my daughter when she needed me most," he told Elena quietly. "Maybe I can be there for this girl." "You already are," she said, "more than anyone else has been." But they were running out of time. The weather was turning colder. If Vivian was hurt or out of supplies, she wouldn't last much longer out there. That afternoon, Camera 5 triggered. James rushed to check the footage. It was short, just 9 seconds, but there she was again. She looked thinner now, her steps slower. A limp was more obvious. But what stopped James cold was what she held in her hand. His note, folded and clutched tightly like it meant everything. Elena contacted Search and Rescue right away. Now that the missing persons case was tied to real evidence, the official search got the green light. But James couldn't sit and wait. He packed food, water, a thermal blanket, and wrote another note. "Vivian, I'm not here to take you back. I'm here to make sure you don't disappear." At dawn, he set out, heading in the direction she'd last been seen. The woods were quiet, wrapped in mist, like the whole forest was holding its breath. After a long drive and a slow hike, his light caught something by the edge of the trail, a small figure curled up against a tree. It has to be Vivian, he thought. James stopped the car and stepped out. With one hand slightly raised, he slowly walked toward her. At the sound of footsteps, her eyes opened. She didn't scream. She didn't run. She just stared at him like she was seeing a ghost, like the camera that had watched her from afar had suddenly stepped into her world. He knelt down slowly. "My name's James. I'm not with the police. I'm not here to make you leave. I just wanted to know you're okay." Silence. Then, barely more than a whisper, "I didn't think anyone would come." James nodded, swallowing hard. "Most people wouldn't." "But I'm not most people." She didn't cry. She just leaned back and whispered, "Okay." Vivian hadn't said a word in hours. She sat quietly, wrapped in the thermal blanket James gave her, sipping warm, instant soup from a tin mug. The fire popped gently between them. James didn't press. He didn't ask. He just sat with her, steady, quiet, patient. When Elena arrived with the med team, Vivian tensed, but James raised a hand. "They're not here to take you back," he said gently. "They're just here to help." Vivian's eyes were distant, unreadable. She didn't speak. She didn't nod, but she didn't run either. The medic examined her leg. It was swollen, bruised, probably sprained. Her arm showed older marks, thin, faint, but there. The team worked quietly and carefully, as if any sudden sound might break something fragile. Elena knelt beside her in the dirt and offered a granola bar. "Vivian," she said softly, "you don't have to say anything. Just know you're safe now. We're not the people you were running from." Vivian's lip trembled, but she stayed quiet. Then slowly she reached into her pocket. She unfolded a wrinkled piece of notebook paper, the one from weeks ago, the note James had pinned to the trees. "If you are out here and need help, I see you. You are not alone." She stared at it for a long time, then looked up at James. Her voice cracked from days without use. "You wrote this." "I did," James said. "Why?" He took a breath, because no one should disappear without being seen. Vivian blinked hard, tears finally welling up. I didn't think anyone would ever come. I almost didn't, James said, but I kept thinking, what if she were my daughter? And then something none of them expected happened. Vivian leaned forward, arms shaking, and hugged James. Not for comfort, not for relief, but because he saw her, not as a post or a case or a face in the dark, but as a person, a survivor. Vivian ended up staying at a temporary shelter that Elna coordinated through a nonprofit that helps at-risk teens. She never went back to her parents. Her story came out slowly, one piece at a time, filled with years of silence and pain. There was abuse, long stretches of being ignored, and a kind of slow drowning that made the forest feel safer than the place she was supposed to call home. But beneath it all, there was strength. The media moved on quickly like it always does. The clip that once stunned the internet became just another viral moment lost in the scroll. But for James, it never faded. She wrote to him every week, sometimes just a few lines, other times little poems. One crisp morning, James opened a small padded envelope. Inside was a folded piece of watercolor paper. She had painted the trail where he first saw her. Trees leaning slightly, a trail camera tucked into the bark, and a barefoot girl in the distance not walking away but moving toward the light. In the corner, her initials, VL. He pinned it next to his camera station. Outside, the woods shifted in the breeze, full of quiet sounds. Sometimes the forest hides the things we'd rather not face. And sometimes, if we're paying attention, it gives us back something we thought was lost. If this story spoke to you, take a moment to subscribe, leave a comment with your thoughts, and share it with someone who might need to hear it. You never know who's watching and who's waiting to be seen.